Hey everybody, welcome back to Sip&Talk. I'm Joe. And as always, I'm ready to dive into some seriously juicy info with you all today. It's like we're mixing up a knowledge cocktail here. Strong stuff, but oh, so smooth going down.
And I'm Sunny, your friendly neighborhood fact checker. I'll make sure we get all the ingredients right. Speaking of mixing things up, you know it's always a good blend? Travel whiskey and discovering awesome new things. You have to check out our friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickey to Life.
Yeah, Mickey's the best. He's always got something cool going on. Coffee in hand. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, no matter what time zone you're tuning in from. Welcome back to Sip&Talk. I'm Joe. Sunny?
Oh yeah, fully caffeinated and ready to go. Welcome back, everyone.
Hey guys, so glad you were here. And I have to tell you, I was reading through our inbox yesterday, and I got this email from a listener in Taiwan.
Okay.
And the subject line, it was literally in all caps. It just said, are our streets filled with ticking time bombs?
Whoa. Okay, that is an intense subject line. What exactly were they talking about?
Right. So they were explaining this incident they saw last week. They were just standing at a red light in Taipei, waiting to cross the street.
Uh-huh.
And they said they physically watched this older gentleman, looked to be in his 80s, just completely lose control of his car.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the tires are screeching, the car is violently surging forward, and it basically almost plowed straight into the sidewalk where all these people were standing.
That is terrifying. Just hearing you describe it gives me anxiety.
Exactly. And they attached all these local news links about elderly drivers getting into these horrific accidents lately. And they basically asked us, look, aging populations are happening everywhere, right?
Right, totally.
So how are places like us here in the States or Japan or Europe handling this? Is Taiwan uniquely dangerous right now, or is this just a massive global crisis that we are all ignoring?
That is such a valid question. And I get why they used a phrase like ticking time bombs, because surviving a near miss like that is so emotional.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be shaking for hours.
Same. But before we get into the actual numbers and the policies today, I think we really need to set a baseline for our Sip&Talkers.
Good idea. What's the baseline?
The baseline is that elderly drivers are not villains.
Right.
Nobody wakes up, gets in their sedan, and decides they want to cause a tragic accident. What we're really dealing with here is biology.
Just pure human biology.
Exactly. Our reflexes, our cognitive processing speed, our flexibility, it all just naturally declines as we get older. That is inescapable.
Yep, unfortunately.
But the real crisis, the reason it becomes deadly, is when you take that very natural human decline and you drop it into our modern traffic systems.
Which are completely unforgiving.
Right. Systems that demand split-second perfection. When those two realities collide, you get a massively high-risk situation.
I really like how you frame that. It kind of strips away the anger and forces us to look at the actual mechanics of the problem. So let's look at the hard data.
Let's do it.
Because if we want to know if Taiwan is actually more dangerous, we need to compare the stats.
Yeah.
What are the numbers looking like over there?
Well, the statistics coming out of Taiwan for 2024 are pretty sobering. So traffic casualties where the main party at fault was an elderly driver, meaning 65 or older, hit roughly 58,800 cases.
Wait, almost 59,000 cases?
In 1 year.
In one single year. That demographic makes up almost 15% of all accidents there.
That is a staggering concentration of incidents for an island that size. It really is. And when you look at the fatal accidents, it gets even heavier. There was this awful tragedy in Sanxia in May 2025.
Oh, I read about this one in the notes. This was the school zone incident, right?
Yeah. A 78-year-old driver was going through a school zone. He completely misapplied the pedals. The car surged, and he killed 4 people.
Oh, my God.
Including himself and kids who were just getting out of school. Plus 12 others were injured.
In a school zone, that's every parent's worst nightmare. How does that even happen? Was it a heart attack or something?
No, the investigation found it was pedal confusion.
Pedal confusion.
Yeah. In a moment of panic, the driver meant to hit the brakes but just slammed his foot on the gas instead. And here is the truly chilling part.
There's more.
Yeah. This exact same 78-year-old driver had a documented incident of pedal confusion 5 years before that.
Are you serious?
Yes. He jumped a curb 5 years earlier, but got lucky and didn't hit anyone.
Wait, hold on. So the system knew he had a massive reflex failure 5 years ago, and he was still legally allowed to drive a 2-ton vehicle next to an elementary school.
Exactly. That shows a massive failure in how we evaluate at-risk drivers. And the numbers in Taiwan back this up. Drivers over 75 have a pedestrian fatality rate that is 2.4 times higher than middle-aged drivers.
That is wild. But is that just a Taiwan thing? Because, I mean, think about Japan. Japan is literally the definition of a super aging society.
Oh, absolutely.
So they must have tons of data on this. How do their numbers look?
Japan is dealing with the exact same biological reality. Over there, drivers over 75 have a fatal accident rate of 5.7 per 100,000.
Which is high.
It's more than double the rate of younger drivers in Japan. And guess what the primary cause is over there?
Pedal confusion.
Exactly, pedal confusion. It is a universal human glitch. Your brain slows down under stress. The spatial awareness gets scrambled. Your brain screams stop, but your foot stomps the accelerator.
It's just a terrifying hardware glitch in the human body.
Yeah, it really is.
But what about us? Like here in the States, our entire culture is built around cars. I mean, you basically can't even buy groceries in most of this country without getting on a highway.
Right. Our U.S. system has some really interesting nuances in the data. So in 2024, elderly drivers here accounted for about 20% of all traffic fatalities.
20%?
Yeah, we're talking roughly 8,000 to almost 10,000 deaths.
Wow. Okay, so it's a massive issue here, too.
It is, but you have to look closer at the U.S. and European data. The fatality rate per mile driven definitely spikes after age 70, but traffic researchers point out something really counterintuitive.
What's that?
It's not just because the elderly are crashing way more often than everyone else.
Wait, what? If they aren't crashing more, why is their fatality rate so high?
Physical vulnerability.
Oh.
Think about it. If a healthy 30-year-old gets into a moderate speed fender bender, they get some whiplash, maybe a seatbelt bruise, and they go to work on Monday. If an 80-year-old gets into that exact same crash, they have lower bone density, a weaker heart. That exact same impact could easily kill them. So a huge chunk of our U.S. fatality rate is just the fact that older bodies can't survive the trauma of a crash.
Oh, wow. Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's not just making more mistakes, it's that the mistakes are physically less survivable for them.
Exactly.
But wait, if the biology is the same everywhere, like an 80-year-old in Chicago has the same reflexes as an 80-year-old in Taipei, why did our listener feel like Taiwan is so uniquely terrifying?
It comes down to the environment. Think about a pedal slip in the U.S. If an elderly person in the suburbs slips and hits the gas out of their driveway, what do they hit?
Probably their own mailbox, maybe the neighbor's trash cans, or just a big grassy lawn.
Right. The physical environment absorbs the error. Now take that exact same human mistake and put it in Taipei.
Oh, man.
There are no sweeping suburban lawns. You have dense crowds, thousands of scooters weaving around you, pedestrians walking on streets with barely any sidewalks.
So the margin for error is literally zero.
Exactly. A pedal slip in Ohio damages a mailbox. A pedal slip in Taiwan means a mass casualty event because you are instantly hitting a wall of scooters and people.
That is such a crucial point.
Yeah.
The stage you are driving on completely amplifies the danger, which kind of brings us to the biggest debate we need to have today.
The great debate. I know where you're going with this.
I mean, if we know reaction times drop and we know fatality risks double after age 75, why don't we just take away the keys?
I knew you were going to ask that.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here, channeling the frustration of everyone listening. Like, if public safety is the main goal, why not just make a hard mandate? You turn 75, you hand over your DMV license, boom, done. We save lives.
It sounds so clean and decisive, doesn't it? Just cut the problem off at the source. But in reality, a hard cutoff age is basically illegal in modern democracies.
Wait, illegal? Why?
Because it is the literal definition of ageism.
Oh, I see.
Age is just a number on an ID card.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually measure capability. Imagine a super fit 78-year-old who runs marathons, eats healthy, and has perfect vision.
Right.
And then compare them to a 25-year-old tech bro who sleeps 3 hours a night, chugs energy drinks, and texts while driving.
Oh, I've seen that guy drifting across the highway lane a million times.
We all have. So under a hard age limit, the state would forcefully take away the mobility of that perfectly healthy senior, but let the dangerous, exhausted 25-year-old keep driving just because he's young.
Okay, fair point. Individual assessment is legally better. But let's be real about how the DMV actually assesses people.
Oh, boy.
Here in the U.S., renewing your license is basically a joke. The clerk asks you to read a few letters off an eye chart, you check a box saying you aren't blind, and they hand you a new license.
It's definitely not a rigorous medical exam.
Right. So if they can't catch the decline, Why is it so evil to just ask at-risk seniors to take an Uber or a bus?
Well, saying just take a bus is a massive privilege. It's easy to say if you live in New York City or downtown Taipei where there's a subway on every block.
True.
But step outside the metropolis. What about rural America? Or southern Taiwan? Taking away a license there is basically a social death sentence.
A social death sentence. That sounds a little extreme, doesn't it?
It really isn't. If you live in a rural area and you lose your car, how do you get groceries? How do you get to your doctor?
Yeah, you can't.
You're suddenly just trapped in your living room. The psychological data on this is brutal. When seniors lose their mobility, depression spikes instantly, and cognitive decline like dementia accelerates massively because of the isolation.
Wow. That's heartbreaking. So we're just stuck in this awful gridlock.
Yeah.
Take the keys and you ruin their mental health. Keep the keys and you risk pedestrian lives.
Exactly. It's a lose-lose.
So how are politicians here in the States handling this?
Basically, by running away from it as fast as they can. There is no federal age limit in the U.S. The states handle it, and most just rely on annoying bureaucratic hurdles. Like what?
Like shorter renewal cycles. Instead of 10 years, you renew every 2 years. Or they force you to show up at the DMV in person instead of renewing online.
Which is torture at any age, let alone when you're 85.
Total torture.
Yeah.
But no politician is ever going to propose a mandatory revocation age.
Because of the voting blocks.
Exactly. Our baby boomers have massive voting power. And organizations like the AARP, their lobbying power is astronomical. Any politician who says, I'm taking your keys, is committing political suicide on the spot.
Oh, totally. The AARP would have them voted out in the very next election cycle.
Without a doubt. So the politicians are paralyzed.
Okay, so if politics is dead and the law is stuck, what about technology? This is where my mind goes, right? We're the tech scene guys. If we can't ban the driver, why not just engineer the danger out of the car?
Yes. Now you are talking about the Japanese model.
Tell me about it. What are they doing?
Japan has this really innovative program built around the Sapo Car, SAPO. It stands for Safety Support Car.
They realized human reflexes fail, so they subsidize vehicles that have automatic emergency braking and anti-pedal misapplication systems built right in.
Wait, anti-pedal misapplication? How does the car actually know I'm making a mistake? Like, what if I just want to accelerate really fast?
So it uses optical cameras and sonar sensors on the front and back of the car. Let's say you're parked at a convenience store facing a glass window.
Okay.
The sensors know there is a solid wall 3 feet in front of you. If you suddenly stomp the gas pedal to the floor, the computer goes, wait, the human wants full throttle, but there's a wall right there. This is a mistake.
Oh.
And it just cuts the engine power and slams the brakes. It physically overrides your mistake.
That is brilliant. It just catches the glitch in real time. Do they force people to buy these?
They actually created a restricted license. If you are an older driver and you show some cognitive slowing, but you aren't totally dangerous, the police say you can keep driving, but legally you can only drive a certified Sapo car.
I love that. You keep your freedom, but society gets a tech safety net.
Exactly. And if you decide you don't want to buy one, or you just want to stop driving, Japan gives massive incentives for voluntarily handing over your license.
Like what kind of incentives?
You get this honorary certificate, and it acts like a VIP card. You get half-price taxis, free community bus passes, discounts on groceries, even cheaper entry to public bathhouses.
Okay, that sounds like a complete win-win. We get tech subsidies, VIP perks, safety. Why can't Taiwan just copy-paste this whole Sapo Car policy tomorrow?
Because copy-pasting policy without looking at the local context is a recipe for disaster.
Really? But software is software. Sensors work the same way in Tokyo as they do in Taipei, right?
The software does, but the physics do not. We have to talk about the vehicle gap.
The vehicle gap, what's that?
In Japan, the elderly mostly drive these small enclosed K-cars. It's a metal box with 4 wheels. You can easily bolt a radar sensor to it and have a computer pull the brakes.
Right.
But in Taiwan, outside of Taipei, the elderly rely heavily on old, heavy scooters or electric mobility scooters.
Oh, we see the problem.
Yeah, you cannot install a complex auto braking system on a 15-year-old moped. And even if you could, think about the physics. If an 80-year-old makes a mistake on a scooter and the computer suddenly slams the brakes...
They would just fly right over the handlebar.
Exactly. The sudden shift in momentum would throw them straight onto the pavement. A software code cannot keep you balanced on 2 wheels. The hardware platform just doesn't support the tech solution.
That is a harsh reality check. Okay, so the tech fix is useless for the scooter drivers. But what about the VIP perks? Getting half-price groceries sounds awesome. Couldn't Taiwan just offer that?
They could, but then you hit the transit gap. Japan's system only works because they spent decades building amazing public transit. Even in rural Japanese towns, there are reliable community buses and shared taxis.
So they actually have a way to get to the grocery store to use that discount.
Exactly. When a Japanese senior hands over their keys, they aren't stranded. Taiwan severely lacks this in its rural areas. If you ask a senior in a rural Taiwanese village to hand over their scooter keys for a VIP certificate,
They just laugh at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd say, this piece of paper isn't going to drive me to my doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
If the bus only comes twice a day and the stop is a mile walk in 90-degree heat without sidewalks, giving up that scooter is a non-starter.
So what's the actual fix for that? You have to build DRTS, demand-responsive transit systems.
DRTS. Okay, how does that work?
In Taiwan, they are actually testing this out under the name happiness buses. Instead of a massive empty bus driving a fixed route all day, they use algorithms and smaller vans. A senior calls dispatch, and the van dynamically routes to pick them up right at their door.
Oh, that's smart. Like a subsidized Uber pool.
Exactly. Until you build that microtransit safety net, you have no moral ground to ask them to stop driving.
That makes total sense. We have to provide the alternative first. Okay, so we've talked about the drivers, the politics, the tech illusion, but we need to look at the actual stage they are driving on. I was looking through the notes, and there's this Taiwanese slang term I have to ask you about.
Oh, I bet I know which one.
Malu Sanbao.
Yes. The three treasures of the road.
It translates to the three treasures. That sounds like a compliment.
It is entirely sarcastic. It's this internet catch-all term for drivers who are just mind-bogglingly unpredictable and oblivious. They are menaces on the road.
I was reading the examples, and they are hilarious. Like the phantom lane changer who just drifts across 3 lanes without ever touching a blinker.
Yes. Or the phone zombie steering a scooter with one hand while texting.
Or the illegal parkers. The people who just stop in the middle of a crosswalk, throw their hazard lights on, and act like they have diplomatic immunity.
The hazard lights of immunity, we have those in the States too. But what is really important about the three treasures concept is that it's not about age.
It's not.
No. A texting teenager is a treasure. A middle-aged guy double parking is a treasure. The unifying trait of a three-treasure driver is unpredictability.
Because traffic relies on trust.
Exactly. Predictive trust. I trust you'll stop at the red light. I trust you'll use a blinker. When someone breaks that flow, the system gets incredibly dangerous.
Okay, but this brings us to a huge point. If we know humans are going to be unpredictable, if we know teenagers text and seniors have slow reflexes, why do we build our streets so dangerously?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question. For the longest time, road safety was all about human behavior. The idea was, if everyone just followed the rules, no one would die.
Which is a fantasy.
Total fantasy. Humans are messy, we get tired, we sneeze, we misjudge speed. So progressive traffic engineers, like the folks who started Vision Zero in Sweden and sustainable safety in the Netherlands, they flipped the script.
What did they do?
They created forgiving infrastructure. The philosophy is simple. Humans will absolutely make mistakes. A good road system expects those mistakes and is physically built so that a mistake doesn't kill anyone.
Forgiving infrastructure. I love that term. What does it actually look like in practice, though?
Yeah.
Because our roads here in the U.S. do not feel forgiving.
They really aren't. Think about a typical American or Taiwanese arterial road. They have these incredibly wide lanes, smooth asphalt, sweeping turns.
Right, they feel like runways.
And that's the problem. A wide straight lane subconsciously tells your brain, you are safe, go faster. Even if the speed limit sign says 30, the UI and UX of the road itself tells you to go 50.
I am totally guilty of that. If the road is huge and open, my foot just gets heavy.
We all do it. But when you mix that optically induced speeding with missing sidewalks or crosswalks right in a blind spot, you create a lethal trap. Forgiving infrastructure physically forces you to slow down using geometry.
Like how? Give me a concrete example.
One great tool is a pedestrian refuge island.
Okay.
Instead of asking an 80-year-old to sprint across 6 lanes of traffic in 30 seconds, you build a raised concrete island right in the middle of the road. If the light changes, they have a safe concrete fortress to wait on.
That's so simple but effective.
Another one is raised crosswalks or narrowed intersections. If you physically narrow the lane, the driver's brain feels the constraint and naturally slows down.
Right, they get nervous, they'll hit the curb.
Exactly. If the concrete forces you to take a turn at 10 miles an hour and you suffer pedal confusion, you break a pedestrian's leg. If the intersection is super wide and you take it at 30 miles an hour and make the same mistake, that pedestrian dies.
Wow. The concrete actually dictates the survivability of the human error.
Good roads guide good behavior. They don't just hope for driver morality.
This is such a profound shift in thinking. But listen, if the engineering fixes are this obvious, why aren't city planners everywhere just doing this?
The politics of pavement.
Right. And actually, this ties into an email we got from a whistleblower while we were prepping for today.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned this. Who is it from?
It's from a listener who works inside Taiwan's traffic administration. And they were super frustrated. They basically wrote, "We know all about the engineering fixes. We read the same Swedish case studies, but pushing them through our system is a complete bureaucratic nightmare."
I believe it. Knowing the solution and actually building it are two very different things.
But why is it so hard? Is it just a money issue?
Money is part of it, but the real enemy is time. It's what we can call the 4-year trap.
The 4-year trap. Because politicians run on 4-year election cycles.
Exactly. Real road redesign, building refuge islands, widening sidewalks is massively disruptive. You have to rip up asphalt, move underground water mains, relocate power lines. It can take 5 to 10 years.
And during those 5 to 10 years, the public just sees construction, dust, and awful traffic jams.
Right. And worse, you piss off the most vocal group in local politics. Small business owners.
Because of the parking.
Exactly. If you widen a sidewalk, you have to delete street parking. The local bakery owner is going to scream that you are destroying their livelihood because people can't park right out front.
So you have angry drivers, furious business owners, and right in the middle of this mess, the politician is up for re-election.
They absorb all the political hatred, they probably lose the election, and then their successor gets to cut the ribbon on the finished road 5 years later.
No politician is going to volunteer for that.
Very few will. It's a flaw in democracy. Long-term infrastructure always loses to short-term survival.
So what do they do instead? Like, how do they pretend they're solving the problem?
They use lazy governance. They pick the path of least resistance. Instead of fixing the geometry of a dangerous intersection, they just install a speed camera. Or they paint a yellow line. Or they throw up another traffic light.
Oh man, the state cameras. They generate revenue and make it look like the city took action.
Right. It takes 2 weeks, costs nothing, and the politician gets a photo op. But adding 50 traffic lights actually makes things worse.
Really? How?
It creates cognitive overload. Drivers stop looking at pedestrians and the flow of traffic, and they just hyperfixate on the lights. Plus, it encourages people to speed up to beat the yellow. It does absolutely nothing to fix the wide geometry that makes the road dangerous to begin with.
It's just a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. So if the politicians are trapped by elections, how did countries like the Netherlands ever fix their roads?
It wasn't because their politicians were braver. It was because the public forced them to be. In the 1970s, the traffic fatalities in the Netherlands, especially for children, were horrifying, and the public just snapped.
What did they do?
They started a massive advocacy movement called Stop de Kindermoord.
Which means?
It literally translates to Stop the Child Murder.
Holy cow. That is aggressive.
It was necessary. They blocked streets. They held massive protests. They kept the media pressure on relentlessly. They fundamentally changed the political math.
They made it more painful for the politicians to do nothing.
Exactly. The political cost of inaction became higher than the cost of removing parking spaces. That is the only way you break the gridlock. Citizens have to demand it.
Yeah. Okay, looking at everything we've talked about today, the chain of causality is just wild. We started with an email about an 80-year-old slipping on a pedal. But it actually starts with human nature and biological decline. And that biology is dropped into road design, which is governed by law, which is completely paralyzed by politics. And all that meshes together to create the traffic culture we see on the streets.
It is a massive interconnected ecosystem. And honestly, this is why we do this. Looking at Japan's policies or Taiwan's scooter density isn't about pointing fingers.
Right. We aren't here to bash any specific country or demographic.
Exactly. We aren't demonizing elderly drivers. We are just looking objectively at why these systems fail. Independent thinking means looking past the emotion of a crash and examining the concrete beneath the tires.
Perfectly said. And just a quick note for our Sip&Talkers. While we did discuss things like vehicle subsidies and international programs today, please remember this is strictly for policy context. It is not financial or investment advice. Always do your own research.
Yep, keep that critical thinking sharp, guys.
If you found this conversation eye-opening, take a second to hit subscribe on whatever app you are using right now. We bring you these deep dives into the systems that run our world every single week, and we'd love for you to join the community.
We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us.
Also, quick shout out before we go, make sure to check out our buddy Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickey to Life. He just dropped this brand new travel vlog. The cinematography is amazing, and it is the perfect palate cleanser after a heavy topic like this. So go give his channel some love.
Oh, totally. Mickey makes great stuff. But before you guys head over to YouTube, I want to leave you with one final kind of provocative thought.
Ooh, I love these. Hit us with it.
So we've talked a lot about engineering and politics today, but there is a massive elephant in the room that Silicon Valley has been promising us for a decade.
Fully autonomous self-driving cars.
Exactly. Level 5 autonomy. The tech scene has basically been saying, just hold on, the robots will take the wheel, and this whole elderly driving crisis will be solved by algorithms.
The ultimate utopian tech fix.
Right. But here is the terrifying reality. That tech is rolling out way, way slower than anyone projected. AI is really struggling with the edge cases in chaotic cities like Taipei.
And meanwhile, the boomers are getting older.
Exactly. The global population is aging faster than at any point in human history. The demographic wave is crashing right now, but the autonomous lifeboats are still stuck in dry dock.
Wow. The timing is a complete mismatch.
It is. So the question is, what happens if we face a 15 to 20-year mobility gap?
A mobility gap.
Yeah. Who bridges the distance between the day you inevitably have to give up your keys and the distant day when a robot car can actually pick you up from your porch? How much isolation and depression are we willing to tolerate as a society in the decades before the tech finally arrives?
That is a haunting thought.
Yeah.
We could have a 20-year gap that defines a whole generation's final years.
Yeah.
We have to start building the physical infrastructure now instead of just waiting for the code to compile. Thank you so much for breaking all this down, and thank all of you for listening to this episode of Sip and Talk. We will see you next time.
Take care, everyone. Drive safe.